Hello, welcome to this new assignment on a comparative analysis of the field-based performance tests of the RAT reactive agility test, the Huff test with ball, and the Bronco test. My name is Marian Saborio. I'm a student of the master's program in sports science and performance of King's College, Pennsylvania. The theoretical foundation, perception and action coupling is a direct link between sensory information, like visual, auditory stimulus, and motor execution. This is critical for assessing agility in open skill sports where athletes must react to opponents rather than pre planned cues. This is the RAT test. The ecological validity, what's that? Is the extent to which test mimics actual game demands, incorporating sport-specific movements or decision-making, and have higher transfer to match performance than isolated physical drills. Relevance, the Huff test with ball versus the Bronco. Cognitive load and decision-making. Processing demands imposed during performance. There's a high cognitive lead, like choice reaction, that can reduce physical speed accuracy. Testing under fatigue reveals brain endurance capacity crucial for late game scenarios. The relevance is the fatigue-induced errors. Open versus closed skill spectrum is a classification based on environmental predictability. Closed skills, pre-planned running, measures physical capacity. The open skills, reaction to stimuli, measures agility. Semi-open involves variable object control. Relevant is the test categorization. Open versus closed skill spectrum. Closed skill, pre-plan. We have the Bronco test. It's a closed pre-plan test. Fixed linear path, no external stimulus, self-paced effort, pure physical capacity. The mixed semi-open skills is the Huff test. It's a semi-open mixed with fixed path navigation, variable ball control, technical decision-making, skill endurance blend, and open skill is the RAT test. Unknown stimulus, time constraint choice, cognitive processing, perception action speed. Agility is a rapid whole body movement, that change of velocity or direction in response to a stimulus. Without the cognitive element of reacting to a signal, it's a simply change of direction speed. This was published by Shepard and Young. Standardized protocol for the RAT test. The setup configuration is a start line, 2 to 5 meter distance to stimuli gate. Time, dual beam photocell gates, start, splits, finish. Stimulus, visual light board or projected video cue. The area, supposed to be a non-sleep indoor court phase. Execution and trials. The trials are 4 to 8 maximal effort repetitions, rest between 60 to 90 seconds for full recovery. The action, sprint to the gate, identify cue, change of direction left or right. Cue timing, randomized delay from 0 to 500 milliseconds to prevent anticipation. Elite decision time for elite athletes is between 200 to 400 milliseconds. In processing speed benchmark for professional athletes. Key outputs, total time is reaction plus movement, decision time, stimulus to first move, and percentage of accuracy, the correct direction choice. The science and cognitive load behind the RAT test. We already said the benchmark is from 200 to 400 milliseconds. High reliability because it has a high interclass correlation coefficient, which is basically the consistency in measures when repeated over time. And this is high reliability. So the key specific findings is speed accuracy trade-off. Elite performance maintain more than 95% decision accuracy even at maximal movement speeds. Perception action coupling. Optimal coupling occurs in less than 500 milliseconds. Delays indicate cognitive processing bottlenecks. Prefrontal activation, high engagement of prefrontal and parietal cortex for stimulus response mapping versus motor area alone. Fatigue impact. Cognitive fatigue degrades decision accuracy before physical speed declines. The cognitive process flow. This is basically stimulus to action. Visual stimulus, then you have perception and identification on the occipital lobe. You have a decision, there's decision making. 200 to 400 milliseconds is the critical window, and motor execution, which is the premotor cortex, gives you the muscle action. The Huff test with ball is a standardized protocol assessing sport-specific endurance with technical demand. How's the setup? It's a circuit of 20 per 20 meters, figure 8 dribbling course, markers, cones, hurdles from 30 to 35 centimeters, and backwards gates. The surface is grass or artificial turf, like match conditions. Equipment, match balls, heart rate monitor, and stopwatch. Execution and demands. The duration is 10 minutes, continuous effort. Technique, continuous ball control required. The intensity is maximal self-paced effort, targeting more than 90% of the heart rate max. Movements, forward, backward, dribbling, turning, jumping. The target distance is 1400 to 1800 meters. This is for elite bench. This is basically elite benchmark for 10 minutes duration, and the average heart rate is from 170 to 190. This is indicative of a high aerobic anaerobic load. And the primary score is the total distance. The validity and physiology, the internal load profile, we already said is from 170 to 190 heart rate max. The lactate is 6 to 12 millimoles per liter. The energy system contribution, we see it's much more aerobic. It's a high aerobic demand interspeed with repeated high intensity efforts, turns, jumps, dribbling, mimicking match play fluctuations. Ecological validity is a high correlation, strong relationship with total match running distance and high intensity running elite soccer. The ball effect. Technical demands reduce distance covered by 7 to 15% compared to running alone, highlighting the skill endurance gap. Differentiation, sensitive to training adaptations from small-sided games and aerobic interval. Huff et al. Said the Huff test is arguably the most specific field test for assessing aerobic endurance in sports requiring continuous technical involvement like soccer. The Bronco shuttle test, maximal aerobic power, high intensity intermittent endurance assessment. Setup configuration, layout cones at 20, 40, and 60 meters marks, surface, grass, or turf field, distance 1200 meters accumulated, equipment, stopwatch, cones, and whistle. Execution details. The structure is 5 sets of shuttles, 20, 40, and 60 meters. Movement out and back to each cone mark. Turns 180-degree turns at each line contact. Effort is a single maximal effort, no rest periods. Direction changes. 59 change of directions is a high mechanical load and deceleration demand. Elite benchmark for soccer is 4 minutes, less than 4 minutes, and for rugby is less than 4.5 minutes. The key output is the total time. The physiology, the internal load profile is 180 to 200 beats per minute. Peak heart rate, basically the lactate it's high, it's 10 to 16 millimoles per liter, and the energy contribution is a significant anaerobic contribution due to maximal intensity and repeated acceleration efforts, resulting in higher lactate accumulation than continuous test. We see it's basically 60 to 70%. Neuromechanical load, eccentric braking, highest cumulative mechanical load due to 59 maximal decelerations and 180-degree turns. Reliability gold standard, most reliable field test with ICC higher than 0.92 and CV, which here the CV represents the coefficient of variation. This is basically how much the measurements, the measurements respect to the average, basically. So elite adoption used extensively in high performance settings for its efficiency and reliability. This is used by elite organizations like NFL Combine, Premiership Rugby, and elite soccer teams. This is the comparative test structure. Basically, we see that skills classification, RAT is an open skill, HOF is semi-open, and Bronco is a closed skill. Primary stimulus, external, it's constraint, and internal pacing for the Bronco. The movement pattern it's the RAT reactive explosive step, HOF continuous dribble, and Bronco linear shuttle run. The cognitive load is very high on the RAT, moderate to high in the HOF, and low in the Bronco. The primary output is decision time in the RAT, total distance in the HOF, and total time in the Bronco. We already said that energy system in the RAT is basically ATPPC plus glycolytic. Because of the time, it's very small, very low time. The HOF is aerobic and glycolytic, and Bronco is aerobic power, VO2 max. Ecological validity, specific action on the RAT, specific sport context on the HOF, and general capacity on the Bronco. Test duration, less than 5 seconds trial on the RAT, 10 minutes on the HOF, and 5 to 8 minutes on the Bronco. Technical demand, none. Movement equality on the RAT, high ball control on the HOF, and none because it's turn technique in the Bronco. We already said physiological demands in the last slide. Cognitive load and ecological validity. The cognitive demands, working memory on the RAT is high, moderate on HOF, and minimal on Bronco. Decision complexity, it's binary because multiple choices on the RAT. HOF, spatial navigation, and Bronco, it's pacing strategy. Time pressure, less than 500 milliseconds in the RAT, continuous flow in the HOF, and Bronco is self-paced. Game-like decisions drive game-like neural adaptations. Let's repeat that. Game-like decisions drive game-like neural adaptations. It's very important, this. Tests devoid of perception action coupling may underestimate the true demands of competition, as said by Davis et al. At 2008. The RACT is reactive actions, highest validity for open skills. HOF, skill endurance, excellent transfers to technical sports. And the Bronco is general capacity, neurocognitive profile, foundation physiological capacity only, lack sport-specific context. The athlete profiling framework. You can profile the athlete on the reactor, which is dominant on the RAT test, elite decision speed and reactive agility, superior perception action coupling, prescriptions, prioritize technical conditioning under fatigue, maintain speed qualities, develop aerobic pace to support repeated high intensity efforts. The technician, the dominant test is the HOF test. Key strengths, high sport specific endurance with excellent ball control under fatigue. Prescribe high intensity interval training, focus on maximal sprint speed development, Integrate reactive agility drills without ball. The workhorse. Dominant test is the Bronco. Superior aerobic power and recovery capacity. High work rate engine. Heavy focus on reactive agility integration. Develop technical efficiency under pressure. Improve decision making speed in small sided games. And the complete player is balanced profile. This is the top 30% of the athletes. Only the key strengths, well-rounded physical and cognitive capabilities across all domains. The prescription, maintain periodized multi-test monitoring, refine specific positional demands, focus on injury prevention and load management. And this is basically the sport relevance. For soccer, the rat and the half skills. Rugby, the Bronco test is the more specific. For basketball, it's basically the rat. The handball, all tests work the same. And the field hockey, the half skill test is the sport specific relevance. Test selection guide. Use RAT for reactive agility and decision speed. Screening for elite perceptual cognitive abilities in youth prospects. Evaluating defenders, goalkeepers, and playmakers where reaction speed is critical. Final stage clearance to ensure cognitive readiness post concussion or ACL injury. Tracking decision speed accuracy under fatigue during intensive blocks. Optimal timing, best used when fresh, start of the session, or immediately post-fatigue protocol to assess degradation. Use HOF for sport-specific technical endurance. Establish aerobic capacity benchmarks while maintaining ball control. Assessing technical breakdown, like error rate, as physiological load increases. Mid to late stage rehab to introduce control, multi-directional ball work. Standardized alternative to small-sided games when player numbers are insufficient. Optical timing, ideal for preseason technical volume blocks and monitoring technical efficiency maintenance in season. Use Bronco for high-intensity aerobic capacity, quick, reliable assessment of maximal aerobic speed and shuttle efficiency, time-efficient monitor tool for large squat fitness tracking, stratifying squat based on raw physiological work capacity, using results to prescribe accurate high-intensity interval running distances. Optimal timing, perform periodically every 4 to 6 weeks as standalone fitness check or integrated into warm-up. Training implications, reactive agility, light board choice reactions, focus, minimizing decision time under pressure, 1 versus 1 defensive routes, anticipating opponent body mechanics, anticipatory video training, the pattern recognition of off-field, neuro speed and focus. This is the training implication of the RAT test. The HOF test is a technical conditioning, skill stability under fatigue, HOF circuits with error scoring, maintain dribble precision at higher heart rate more than 85%, ball control under metabolic stress, touch quality during recovery intervals, multi-directional possession drill focus is spatial awareness while fatigue. Basically, the training implications here is skill, aerobic, and control. Intermittent endurance, high intensity capacity building in the Bronco test, the RSI progressions, repeat sprintability progressions, repeat sprintability with short recovery, the yo-yo, maximal aerobic power development, the yo-yo intermittent recovery 2, which is basically for elite athletes, change of direction, tempo runs, mechanical efficiency in turning. This is for power capacity and recovery, that's the implication, and the integrated load, game-specific complex training, small-sided games with constraint, like 3 versus 3, 4 versus 4, tactical, this is focused on tactical decision-making under physical load. Cognitive plus physical load stimulus, dual task processing, cognitive endurance, and transition scenarios focus rapid mental switching between phases. This is for game tactical and complex implications. Small-sided game integrations. Here we have the high cognitive 3 versus 3 format. It's RAT plus physical load, decision frequency. It's every 2 to 4 seconds. Field size is 25 per 20. Target more than 90% heart rate. Focus reaction. Tight spaces forces rapid perception action, coupling similar to RAT demands but under heavy physical load. The aerobic power 5 versus 5. Half intensity. Intensity 85 to 92% of heart rate max. Field size 40 plus 40 times 30 meters. 40 per 30, I'm sorry. Ball context is high volume and focus on technical demands. Mirrors the continuous aerobic technical demands of the Huff test with open skill interactions. 4 versus 4 plus constraints is a hybrid demand. Constraint is a rule base and a field on 30 per 25. Fatigue is cumulative and the focus is hybrid. Combines bronch endurance, RAT decision making, and Huff technical skill through their rule based play. Small-sided games integrated reactive agility test, perception action, demands plus Huff test, endurance qualities in an ecological validity team context. This is why you should use small-sided games. Periodization framework, off-season, basically the Bronco, low intensity volume, identify progression, preseason, early preseason, Bronco and Huff. For conditioning progression, a cumulative aerobic volume. You start introducing ball work. Preseason, late preseason, Bronco, Huff, and RAT, full battery profiling, pre-competition readiness, position-specific benchmarks. In-season, RAT and Huff, monthly monitoring checks, maintenance microdosing, and fatigue management. Return to play, RAT and Huff, gives you a progressive clearance, cognitive readiness check, and technical integration. Baseline, it's Meso 1, established physiological floor with Bronco, progression, Meso 2, 3, add technical load, Huff, and cognitive speed, and maintenance in season, monitoring freshness via RAT and Huff submaximal. Limitations and future directions, RAT binary oversimplification, simple left-right choices fails to capture complex multi-option game scenarios, normative data, limited database compared to linear speed test, makes benchmarking difficult, equipment cost, valid timing gates and light systems are expensive for sub-elite teams, future direction is velocity, rate-based, multi-stimulus environments with eye tracking integration, VR, I'm sorry, virtual reality-based multi-stimulus. The Huff test, learning effect, familiarity with course layouts, significantly improved scores independent of fitness, skill confounding, poor technical ability makes mask true physiological endurance capacity, standardization, surface quality, and ball pressure variants affect dribble speed, future direction, AI coded video analysis for automated technical error scoring. The Bronco is the limitation, cognitive vacuum, completely closed skill with zero decision making component, is a linear bias, 180 degree turns dominate, neglecting lateral diagonal movement patterns, pacing strategy, athletes can gain the test with pacing rather than maximal effort. Future direction, integration of a randomized change of direction signals during shuttle intervals. Current research gap. No single field test currently integrates reactive agility, technical execution under fatigue, and physiological endurance into one scientifically valid protocol. Conclusions and takeaways. Reactive agility is the gold standard, the superior tool for assessing perceptual cognitive speed. It uniquely isolates decision making from movement speed, essential for open skills profiling. Huff test has a unique breach. the only field test bridging physiological endurance and technical execution, critical for assessing skill breakdown under high metabolic load. Bronco test is most reliable measure of high intensity intermittent fitness. Its superior test, retest reliability makes ideal for baselining large squats. Key practical takeaways: holistic profiling, combine tests to capture the full athlete spectrum, reactive brain, technical skill, and raw physiological engine. Tactical physiological link, only the Hoff test reveals if an athlete loses ball control before they lose physical speed. Context is king. Use RAT for defenders, playmakers requiring rapid reads. Use Bronco for work rate positions like midfielders or flankers. Monitoring versus profiling. Use Bronco for regular fitness monitoring. Reserve RATs for talent ID and return to play clearance. Here are the references that I use for this assignment. Thanks for listening.